Hey guys, it's Josh from the Review Brothers here, and today we're going to be doing a Get Out solo review. Now the thing is, Get Out is a original horror film here in 2017. Why do I open this video with this? It's because, to be honest, horror as a genre has been dying. There has been good ones here and there. There's been, I don't know if you consider Split thriller or horror. To me, it was a bit of both. So there's been Split recently. There's been Don't Breathe, and I don't know if you consider 10 Cloverfield Lane horror or not. But those and the Evil Dead remake. Those have been the only good horror films to come out in the modern century. Now there has been those one-off ones that have done okay, like Paranormal Activity, the first one, just the first one. Everything else sucked. Just the first Paranormal Activity was decent. And the point of the matter being that the horror genre was good in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Not so much the 90s because it had been kind of overused. But you get what I'm trying to say. The horror genre as a whole has been done to death in many, many ways. Now, the thing about Get Out is it is a complete breath of fresh air to the horror genre. Get Out combines great comedy with fantastic, terrifying imagery and disturbing content. It showcases that you can have a good horror comedy in 2017. And it was those little subtleties. Jordan Peele makes his directorial debut, and it's these little subtleties that he puts, these little hints of things, and these little creepy little hints and subtleties that he puts within the film that really make the film shine on its own. It gives it just a certain deeper edged sword to the overall plot and story, which is very simplified, but that was how most of horror films back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, even the 50s, were. They were casual and they were creepy. They were creepy, but they had casual stories that were over-exaggerated and always was and this is one of those films where it's like a mystery. You're piecing every little thing together like it's a jigsaw puzzle, and you're trying to put all of the pieces together to find the answers, and they keep telling you subtle little hints, but you're gonna miss most of them because you're enjoying the film so much. They throw these little things in itty-bitty tidbits of information at you, but they never really reveal their true intentions till the very end. This is when the film very much picks up. Now, a lot of people would say, okay, so is Get Out a slow burn type of film? Slow burn being that it's, you know... The problem I have with the term slow burn is that slow burn would assume that this film is boring, and that then after all that boring stuff you get the good stuff. No. This entire film is almost near perfect, and it has a lot going for it throughout. One, the casting is fantastic. It has an incredible cast of Daniel Kaluuya, Allison Williams, Catherine Keener, Bradley Whitford, and the list goes on. Betty Gabriel, I mean, she's pretty good. She was in The Purge election year. Yes, The Purge election year wasn't that great of a film. She was kind of the saving grace of that film to me. But all of these great actors and actresses, no, great actors and actresses, portrayed their characters well. Everything overall acting-wise is fantastic in this film. Cinematography is on point. And the overall story was well written with not many plot holes to be found. So I'm very impressed by Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele really does have my attention now as not only a fan of the Key and Peele series, so I obviously am a fan of Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Kay, who did Key and Peele. But now he has my attention as a film fanatic because he made a damn near perfect horror film. Subtle, yet creepy, yet terrifying, and bone-chillingly terrifying. Now, this film will keep you up at night, not because it's overly terrifying and anyone actually can view this film. It's not necessarily the bone-chilling, terrifying imagery that you're going for. It's the overall story, and it's not just your standard horror film. This film has elements of comedy, elements of racism, elements of... It's not racism, but what I'm trying to say is elements of portraying people being racist. This film tackles a social commentary, and that social commentary is racism. Now, I'm not going to tell you how that racism is showcased, and it's very subtle. And the thing is, it's a very, very simple storyline of boyfriends at the stage where he's going to meet the parents, and so the boyfriend the boyfriend Chris is going up to meet Rose, his girlfriend's parents. Now, Chris is a black person going up to meet a predominantly white neighborhood, going to a predominantly white, suburban, westernized neighborhood down south kind of deal. So you'd think that the first thing you think when you think, so they're gonna have a black person coming to a dinner with a predominantly westernized, southern, down south type of family. Oh, well, so you're gonna assume, okay, so they're gonna try to run him out of town. But they don't. That's the thing. It's very, very different than what you think is going to happen. For many times in this film, for many experts out there that say they think they know horror films and that, I know that, he's gonna do this or that or something else. No, that's not how this works. See, the thing about this film that's so interesting and intriguing is it plays it up to so many levels. Like, they showcase these people being, moderately racist. But they don't come off as racist. They come off as, like, offensive with some of their comments. And they make Chris, the main character, Daniel Kaluuya, who's played by Daniel Kaluuya, they make him uncomfortable with some of these things. Like, they keep bringing up imagery and talking about race in certain ways. Like, I'm gonna give one small joke from the film, and this isn't really a joke, it's more part of the social comedy. One of the things that the father, Dean, says to Chris while they're walking around the house is he said, "I'd vote for Obama a third time." And this makes Chris uncomfortable because he's treating him differently. These little subtle hints of social commentary in the film are woven in perfectly. You don't even notice them. They're a very, very key, essential part to the story, but you don't notice them as much as you'd think that you would. And they honestly just add a lot to the film, a different type of layering to the film that hides a lot of things, it hides a lot of the flaws over all these layers of dialogue and smart writing, which takes away any real flaws from the film. There are a few, and there's only one flaw I have with this film, and it's the jump scares. This film is a casually creepy, eerie experience, and it's just something you have to see to believe. It's mind-blowing. Some of these visuals that were in this film are absolutely mind-boggling and disturbing, terrifying, bone-chilling, and overall very interesting for the choices of some of these images and the music put towards them. The soundtrack is beautifully scored, and it seems like they were going for a very creepy, dark, ominous feel to the overall story, and they wanted to add that with an extra layer of music. So this film is very layered with an overall well-written story, good casting, great acting, fantastic cinematography. What else could you want more from this film? And occasionally good, creepy atmosphere. All of that tied to the fact that you do have 4 very annoying jump scares that don't scare anybody, and it's kind of that mumbo-jumbo, new school horror kind of stuff. And I can see why they threw it in. It's to please everybody. That would include the modern day horror audience. And obviously you're thinking, well, you are part of the modern era. Why don't you like the modern day horror stuff? Because I grew up watching the old school horror films, seeing how my uncle introduced me to a bunch of old school horror films as a not a kid, but like around the age of 11 or 12, I started watching horror films with my uncle. My uncle influenced me a lot with that. He showed me one, and I was hooked from there. The horror genre is one of my favorite genres of film. So obviously I enjoyed Get Out. It was an entertaining, creepy, and eerie experience that has mind-blowing visuals, fantastic cast, fantastic acting, fantastic almost everything. Except for those 4 annoying jump scares, and you will see them, and they will get annoying. And the only problem I had with jump scares, I don't have really a problem with the jump scares itself. It's the fact that they had queued up music, like the cheesy new school horror where you can tell that it's coming. Now, this film did do something else right. With its well-written story, it threw me for a loop in many ways, and I thought I knew what was going to happen next. And the thing is, it doesn't. You don't know what's going to happen next, and they throw you for a loop in many, many ways in this film, and you really do have to pay attention. It's one of those films where you really have to pay attention, or you'll miss something key or important that will come back in the last act of the film. Now, overall, the pacing of the film is fantastic. It's slow and eerie and ominous throughout, and then it finally gives you this gigantic, fast-paced climax where we finally get everything thrown us at once. And it's a lot of information to take, but if you're paying attention, it's that big payoff from sitting through all of those minute little subtleties. And don't get me wrong, they were fun to sit through. That little subtle, creepy, eerie, ominous tone throughout the film keeps you entertained and interested. The social commentary really takes over the first 2 halves of the film, but you won't notice it as much as you'll notice the creepy and ominous things going around. So the creepy and ominous tone of this film disguises that social commentary, but you can tell it's there. But it doesn't come off as preachy it doesn't come off as preachy at all. Or forced. It really does feel like it's perfectly fits in this category of film, and it really does showcase something and make you think. As I was leaving the cinema, just getting into my car, I started thinking in my head about some of these scenarios, some of these images, and some of what the film was trying to say. And it's very smart, it's very subtle, very creepy and ominous, and it's a very smart, overly funny, and well done modern day horror film. One of the best modern day horror films I've seen in recent years. I definitely recommend you check it out in theaters. It's just an almost perfect horror film that I guarantee right now, and I'm going to guarantee this. And when I guarantee things, it usually does come true. That I'm probably not going to see a better horror film this year to put up on that list. The top horror film I'm going to see this year is Get Out. And for the fact that this is Jordan Peele's directorial debut, Jordan Peele, his direction is fantastic. It's phenomenal. He's done a great job for his first ever film. I look forward to seeing more of his works. I want to see another Jordan Peele horror film very soon. I'd love to see him write another one within the next few years. And Jordan Peele has my attention and has started, and even though he only has one film, he's slowly starting to become one of my favorite horror directors, modern day horror directors. And he's up there. He's only had one film. I already love his films and want to see more. So Jordan Peele did a fantastic job for his directorial debut, and you should definitely give this film the time and money it deserves, because this film is absolutely almost near perfect, and it deserves a large audience. And if you're gonna go with a large audience. As much as some people don't like large audiences, or they talk too much, no one's going to talk in this film, I can guarantee that. Well, I can't guarantee if no one's going to talk in this film. But no one is going to annoy you because this film had everyone in my theater, and I've had bad experiences before. I went to the theater where I usually have the bad experiences because it had the bigger screen. Now, the thing about this film is it absolutely blew me away. Like, the thing about it is that with a crowd, the crowd was dead silent throughout this film. Everyone was entertained. They laughed when they were supposed to laugh. We were scared when we were supposed to be scared. This film is just, it's almost near perfect because you have all of those perfect reactions that you want to have to those types of films. In the case of a horror film, I want to be scared. I left the film creeped out with an eerie tone in the back of my mind, thinking about a ton of things from this film. The horror films I like are the smart, psychological ones that make you think about things once you leave and stay with you for a long period of time. Also, when you're doing comedy, you want it to be funny, but you don't want it to take over the horror. And I felt like the comedy and horror together was the perfect marriage of a Jordan Peele film. You have since he's a comedian, you have great comedic timing, fantastic comedic writing, and you have tons of awesome horror mixed with comedy, and it just creates the perfect blend of the two. Anyways, guys, for me, Get Out was an almost near perfect horror film that does have a few things wrong with it, but makes up for it in many other aspects. Now, I'm gonna say this. I'm giving Get Out a solid 9 out of 10 popcorns, and I definitely recommend you check out Get Out in theaters. Anyways, guys, have you seen Get Out? If you have, leave your opinions in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys thought of this. If you haven't, are you looking forward to it? What's another film that you ended up seeing this week if you didn't go see Get Out? And do you plan on going to see Get Out? Anyways, guys, this has been Josh from the Review Brothers here, telling you guys to go see Get Out and like, comment, and subscribe to the Review Brothers. Peace.